I'm Carley Eschliman. I'm a junior double majoring in atmospheric science and communication. And I want to start off with a somewhat simple question. Responses from the audience encouraged. How many species of birds do you think there are across the entire globe? Anybody have any guesses? 20. That's a little low. Okay, for reference, mammals have 5,000 species. 5,000 species.
7,000.
Okay, I'll end the misery. Actually, it's 18,000. That's according to a study in 2016. So we have 18,000 birds across the world, and at the start of the summer, I knew 3. So these are the birds that I can identify really well. Raise of hands, who recognizes at least one of these birds? All right, good. So I knew close to nothing about birds, and after 10 weeks of sitting in front of a giant window that overlooked a pond and also had a view of a very active bird feeder, I turned this 3 into 8. I'm really proud, honestly. So we have the mourning dove, the grackle, and the European starling were very present at the bird feeder, and the blue heron I saw over the pond. And the common loon was the bird that was on the cover of the magazine that we put out this summer. So I was kind of getting to thinking about, okay, so I know 8 birds, right? That is the circle, the box around 8 birds of 18,000. And I did the math for you guys. I know approximately 0.04% of all bird species. And these are birds that I can accurately identify probably 80% of the time. So I want to confess before all of you guys today that I am not a bird expert. And honestly, being able to say that took almost all 10 weeks of my internship to be able to say. So I want to share with you guys how I learned that it's okay to not be an expert. So this summer I worked at the Cornell lab of ornithology, which if you guys don't know about the lab, it's pretty much the best bird lab in the entire world, argued to be. And I was continually surrounded by people who had PhDs in bird science. Meanwhile, I know 3 to 8 birds, depending on the time during the summer, and I have I have a high school diploma. So I worked for them in their communications department. I wrote press releases off of bird science and did a lot of website content and other communication work for them. So I kind of was looking back on this summer and I realized that I had 4 stages that I went through in my acceptance of the fact that, you know what, I just don't know a lot about birds. So starting off, imposter. So I think a lot of people feel this way, especially when they come to Cornell, but anytime that anyone goes into a situation where they know that they aren't the best. So I felt this very heavily in the first couple of weeks of my internship at the Lab of Ornithology. I thought that, you know what, I have no experience in communication in this field. I'm an atmospheric science major. I don't know much about birds. For example, this is a screenshot of one of the edits that I received on a 500-page, or 500-word, sorry, not page, word article. So the blue are the edits, and the black was my text, which most of it is crossed out. Luckily, I had a boss that was really, really nice. He's in the room, thanks Gus. And he would talk with me and sit down and discuss the things that I could do better on, some ways that I could reword things. So I definitely started pretty low, but of course, there's always this second stage of overconfidence where, you know what, I got my first positive comment on something and I decided that really I wasn't being I wasn't getting the attention that I deserved. You know, I wasn't trusted with enough. They should be giving me all these responsibilities. People were saying all these nice things to me, and I was like, you know what? I totally know what I'm doing. I've been here for like 3 weeks. I have 8 bird species under my belt, and really, luckily, this phase didn't last for very long, and we moved on to stage 3. Which was realizing, you know what, I still know 8 species of birds. And I finally was getting to the rhythm of knowing when I had enough on my plate and how to handle, okay, so I have this task and this task and this task, that's probably okay. I don't need to expand anymore because honestly, still, I am not a bird expert and know very little about this field as a whole. And also, my edits were still kind of looking like this. But then there is redemption. I did not stay in this. My last stage is being an expertise finder, which I really think is the area that everyone should try to be in whenever they're in a professional setting or really any setting at all. Knowing that, okay, these are the areas in which I'm not very strong. These are the places in which I definitely need help or have to collaborate with other people on. I can't just go on without any edits. But also there are other spaces and other things that I'm good at that I can contribute in this specific environment. So for me, I found that was my knowledge of social media. So I've had a Twitter and an Instagram for 6 years, and if you think about that and divide it by 20, that's the majority of my life, or almost the majority of my life. And so I found that even though I wasn't necessarily an expert in Twitter and Instagram, I was someone who could provide a 20-year-old's perspective in a lab that is definitely older than 20 years old. I mean, you can't be 20 and have a PhD in bird science. So I worked with my bosses and other collaborators to develop some social media strategy for the lab, which is an area that they haven't necessarily been very strong in the past. So really, I found out that there's really 9 species of birds that I know. I don't necessarily know the genus or family name of the Twitter bird, but I really think that this research needs to be redone to be at 18,001 species. So thank you guys for your time. Special thanks to my bosses at the Cornell Lab and for Lauren and John for helping lead this fellowship. Yeah, thank you.